because I left home to come here and be excited and be happy. And then literally less than 12 months in school, I get locked up and I spent a night in a holding cell with so many people, with so many of us. But for me, that was traumatic. And everything that happened after that was impacted or rather was a result of what had happened. I did not show up as I was supposed to show up. I could say I was an average student at school, but I went below average. I went to failing a whole lot of my modules. I went to literally going to the dean's office to beg to not get excluded because I was failing, I was struggling, I wasn't showing up. I had trauma, and it's only now that I'm older that I realize that you actually had trauma. Perhaps you should have seen somebody, perhaps you should have spoken to somebody, but I was a child, I didn't know, there was no guidance. Everybody at home just says, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. Nobody thinks that this child is going through this. And you know how when you fail at school, it's always, but we give you all the support, we give you all you need. But nobody knew that perhaps this child has other issues. So that, and it's just, it messed up my whole experience in varsity. I did not like being there. I didn't want to be at school. So I spent my days in my room watching TV. I watched Gossip Girl. I watched Gossip. I missed exams to watch Gossip Girl.
What?
Yes, I missed exams to watch Gossip Girl. My room was comfort. You get outside was scary for me.
Oh, it felt like a safe space.
Yeah, so home, my place was a safe space. And fortunately, I've got very understanding parents and supportive parents. They didn't know the part of the trauma, but they made sure that I was comfortable at school. So you can imagine you're at school, you've got your own beautiful bachelor, you're good, man. So I didn't go to class.
Sure.
Yes.
You know, just to like you said, a mouthful, and I want us to break it down a bit. So, firstly, I do want to urge parents at home, right? I'll speak especially for people of color. Many times there's this misnomer that because you've paid your child's school fees, you've given them food, you've given them basics, then you think that's support. And yes, that's support, but I think in a world where there's so many vultures, there's so many issues that happen around, it's always important that you give your children emotional support. Sometimes if you don't have capacity, have maybe other relatives, check them in, or if you're a person that believes in therapy, life coaching, and all of those things, but have things in place that are able to support your child's journey. Because you can imagine how many years it took. You probably sit with Tendani. Tendani is a very intelligent person, right? Also overlapping to the next thing. You speak of failing. As far as I know you, there's nothing that speaks failure because you're really intelligent. But now it's almost as if you couldn't articulate your intelligence on paper because now there are these factors that you're battling with. It's like, I know what I know, but I'm not going to do it anyway because it's like, it's the same. It's not like anyone is going to value this opinion. Or even if I value it, my dreams can easily be shattered. I can easily be thrown into a cell again. So I really think it's important to parents at home that you are fully involved in your children's lives, academic lives, and also it also helps them navigate life better because if you are not there for them, they almost deal with situations according to what the world tells them, and the world can be misleading because we live in a time where there's so much on social media. So I can go on social media and be like, how to be happy. If I'm not taught at home how I can be happy, I will run with what I'm seeing on social media. So it's important that we actively present. So now there's this factor, you are intelligent, but you're failing. How, where was the line? How were you handling that? Because, you are not, I can attest to this. I've worked with you. I know you as a person. I know you in different factors, you as a mom, you as a person, you as a colleague, you as a friend, and you are an intelligent person, right? But now you're failing. Was it deliberate? Was it, I don't care anymore? What was going on with you? Because I can guarantee you knew the answers.
I'm going to be honest. I was like, I'm not going to do this. I'm not
Okay.
going to do this because number one, first of all, when you start school, you have an idea, just a bit of an idea of what's going to happen in your degree. You want to be a lawyer. I was shocked to find out there's so many modules, right?
Okay.
So there's this so many things that I need to do, and already my trauma. I'm walking around year 1 with my trauma, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, year 6 with my trauma. So there's already this thing on my back. I don't like going to class because I feel like I'm safer in the house or in my room. Then that basically means that now the interest is slowly dying down.
Sure.
The interest for the law is slowly dying down. I think that the only time I loved being in class was twice, not twice, or 2 years, in the sense that when I was, I think, second year or something, I did the module labor law. Then in final year, you had to pick, what do they call them?
Alternate electives.
Yes, electives. So I wanted to pick the easier electives, which number one would have been labor because I liked labor.
Sure.
It was the one module that I liked, one module.
Sure.
Out of the about 40 modules
Yes,
in law.
like 44, 42.
40,
Yeah.
I only liked one, which was labor. Then because I had to pick a second elective, it came down to criminal law because it was easy. This is a person that doesn't want to go to school. I don't want to go to class.
You're trying to find the quick way to do
I
it
just
and get
want
out.
to get this thing out. So picked labor, picked criminal law. Criminal law, I didn't care. I didn't care what I was doing. I just wrote exams and tests and assignments and submitted, done. So basically, in the 6 years of my degree, I was not happy. I could say I was an unhappy student, completely unhappy. The only time I was happy was when I did the labor law in second year or third year, I don't really remember. Then also when I did it as an elective on my final year.
Sure.
So that you could say that it's fair to say that I had a terrible varsity experience. I did not like being there at all. And it's not something you can voice out to anybody or your parents. What do you mean you don't want to
Yes, you
be?
can't. Like, I mean, as a person of color, you can't say you don't like school.
You can't say
You can't
that.
say you're traumatized.
And
you can't.
Yes, also how I knew that I wanted to be a lawyer, but I don't want to be at school.
Yes.
I want to be a lawyer, but the school part, I don't understand why I must be at school for so long and do all these things because I don't think that I'm going to do all these things.
Sure.
I knew that somehow I liked labor. I don't know how it's going to fit in future. At the point, I didn't know.
Sure.
But I just knew that I don't want to do all these things. I
You just
wanna
want to
this
do
one
labor.
thing. Yes.
Okay. So now also like you failing, right? And there's a part where you speak of at some point you had to bag the din, right? You're a person who doesn't care, but you still gather the strength to go bag the din to let you not be excluded. What was the driving force? Because I mean, you could have easily dropped out.
I could have, but I had to get the degree. I knew that at the end I needed to get the degree.
Sure.
Did not like the process of getting the degree, the going to class, the writing assignments, I did not like that, but I knew the end goal that I need to leave this place with a degree, whether I like it or not. My dad is paying these fees.
Sure.
He wants that degree. And for someone who I come from a very small family. It's just me and my little sister. And my parents have these 2 kids and they're really hopeful that these people are successful. So I knew that whether I liked it or not, I gotta make my dad proud. I gotta make my mom proud. I need to get that piece of paper no matter what it takes. I don't like it. I don't want the whole piece of paper. I wish I could just remove everything and pick just the one thing, which is labor. But I had to get the piece of paper. So I had to go to the dean and beg. I begged so much because at the point that I was begging, I had officially removed some of my modules that I was struggling with and had taken them to UNISA. It's a thing you can do. I don't know if they do it these days, but you are able to study a degree in a specific university, then pick certain modules, but your school then has to grant you some form of permission, and then you go take it to another university as long as the credits are the same for the module. Then when you are done, you go graduate to at the university that you have more modules in, because I had more modules at University of Limpopo. So I think 3-4 modules I did them via UNISA. Then the other ones that they didn't allow me to do, but I knew that they were harder at UNISA, I had to beg the dean to allow me to repeat those modules because I'd been excluded from doing those modules, like take them all to UNISA. So I knew that these ones, UNISA's not going to work. I'm not going to get the degree. I begged. I was at the dean's door every single morning during registration week until he registered those modules.
Sure.
Yes.
So every single day you're asking, you're begging. doesn't it dawn on you to be like, like, "Khono tshwana," like what kept you going to that office?
The piece of paper has to come out for my parents.
But were you telling your parents that you're failing? Or you were
They
just doing backdoor
Let me
things?
get you something. I failed. There was a time that I failed, and I did not want to give my parents the results.
Sure.
My dad is a very hands-on dad. He's a daddy's girl. You know, daddy's.
Yes, like my
he's,
dad. You can't hide
he's a dad
failing.
girl. He's a
Yes.
dad girl, and dad girls are so involved. So my dad drove from Venda. He went to the University of Limpopo
To get the
and
transcript.
requested my transcript.
That's something my dad would do. Like my dad
Yes,
would ask
because-
you nicely firstly, where's the academic record? If you are saying stories like, okay, cool, I'm gonna go see the did. I also remember at some point there was a delay in our academic records, right? So my dad was asking me about it. I'm like, no, it's not yet out and stuff. And then he's like, oh, okay, if it's not out by next week, I'm going there. I'm like, wait, this is not high school. He's like, I'm going to fetch your academic record because you've been done with exams for a very long time.
I hid mine. What happened was back in the day they used to send your results via post office.
Sure.
My dad, being hands on, my dad is an admin driven person. He makes sure everything
Things is
administrative
in order.
is in order.
Sure.
He picked up the mail and whatever at the post office. I stole his keys.
Naturally, I'm dealing with a thug here.
I stole my dad's keys so that he doesn't get to the post office. I get there first. I got there first, opened, got my results, teared them up. He was not going to see them.
Kanti, you're behind. He's going to go to the
He
university.
went and he didn't tell me. He literally woke up in the morning, drove to 2 hours to Polokwane, and he came back and he said, I went to school and these are your results. You failed. You've been failing. What have you been doing?
And then what was your reaction to that?
I just cried. I just
Oh my
cried.
goodness.
I just cried.
So then how did they help you after that?
You know, what happened was that my dad said to me and my mom, they said, specifically my dad, because he's, like I said, he's very involved.
Hands-on.
My mom is a mom. She's making sure the house is in order and whatever. But my dad makes sure that we are going to school. Everything is in order. So then my dad sat me down. He said, do you want to go to school? Because this doesn't look like you want to go to school.
Sure.
Fail. It was bad. It was bad. I remember at the time, I actually left exams to go to a hockey tournament in Cape Town.
What? You know, like, I feel like that's the thing about baddies that are intelligent. They know that one way or another, they're going to make it work.
Yeah, so remember the first thing that happened, trauma. I don't want to be at school. So I was constantly looking for ways to
You were
be happy.
escaping.
Yes, I was escaping. I constantly looked for ways to be happy within the school environment. I would gym. I would play sports. But school, no, I don't want to go to school.
Shucks.
I don't want to show up. So my dad sat me down. He said, you have you've got two options. You're either going to just leave this thing and have no degree. And if you don't have a degree, it means that even these modules that you've passed, they amount to nothing.
Sure.
So even these years that you've wasted, because I think I was on year 4, I had failed. He said, these 4 years that you've wasted, they mean absolutely nothing if you don't walk out with that piece of paper that's written LLB.
Sure.
Those modules means nothing. Then I was like, nah. I gotta try. That's when actually I went and I begged. Yeah.
And then you're like, let's try this again.
Yeah.
I commend you for trying, and a special shout out to your parents, your dad particularly, for being able to sit down with you to say, you know what, at some point you're going to have to pick. Because I think many times we think, yes, sometimes we're doing it for our parents, but it's almost as if it's for our parents, but it's for you. Like, so each time you think of quitting or each time you think of disappointing your parents, just sit yourself down in the mirror and be like, do I want to do this or not? And if I'm not doing this, it means I may not be as successful or I may not be able to achieve A, B, C, D, you know?
Sure.
And I love your journey so much. It's very interesting because I feel like on so many occasions, it almost feels like as if you're quitting, but it's like God is elevating you. You know, so now we're done with your LLB. You fought a good fight, right? And then you serve your articles, which is something that I forgot to mention in the bio, is that you served your articles, but finished serving your articles, started writing board exams. You wrote 3, ne?
Yes.
You passed 3 or you passed 2?
I have 3 board exams in the bag.
Oh, yes, so she's got 3 board exams in the bag. And she decided, I'm not going to be an admitted attorney. And this is shocking in a world where we glorify admission. Many people may look at her and think, You were just close. It's just one exam. You can just get tutoring. I was one of those. I was actually very upset when she said, I remember with what her final last try or registration of her board exams. She said, "Oh no, I'm just gonna go out for lunch. I'm gonna go brunching." And I was like, "Are you crazy? Why are you not studying? We can tutor you with our other friend." I'm like, "We can tutor you. We can do something." It's like, "No, guys, I'm not writing. I'm just gonna watch my sister study." And it was wild. So yeah, man, I think your journey is really inspiring. And as we go into the conversation, people get to like feel and experience that, you know what, sometimes it really looks dark, but actually there is light at the end of the tunnel. Ne? So now you have finished studying your LLB. What you've done your articles in a few words. What was your experience of your articles like?
It was mumble, jumble. It was just a mess because I didn't know what I was doing.
Sure.
I commend my first principal because he trusted me. He just said, you know what, do this. He trained me. He trained me very well. He let me basically run his family law department. I was running that family law department. I knew all the divorce cases. I was making sure everything was running smoothly. And here I am thinking perhaps maybe this is going to work out. I mean, at school, it wasn't working out so
Sure.
much. And can I tell you how I got these articles? Oh my
How?
goodness. I feel like every part of my life is so dramatic. I was at home. I have a child, right? I've got a child. He's 8 today. I had my child when I was still at school because I failed. Remember, I
Sure.
failed. So there was a point where, oh my goodness, my life is so dramatic. I actually come again. I went to law school, PLT.
Yes.
I did PLT. I did not finish it.
Wow, you dropped it.
I dropped
What
it.
was the issue?
I still don't like school.
Okay.
PLT was a lot of school. You are an admitted attorney and you know PLT is a lot of school. I
Yes.
didn't like PLT. It was a lot of school, so I quit. I did not finish. I think 2 modules left. It's a tendency.
And you know what, Ne? I think God loves you. When we talk about God's favorite kids, we talk about you because I almost feel like as though as you always stop when you're close. Like it's like you're on the finish line. You are just there and you're just like, and some of us when we do that, God is like, not to corner, sit there. But I feel like every single time you get to do that, you get another opportunity that is almost bigger than you or bigger than the former. Yeah, so now you were narrating the whole thing of you getting articles.
Yeah. So I got articles because this is how I got them. There was not a lot of firms that were hiring at the time. My best friend was she had just completed her articles. She had just gotten admitted, right? And then she was now, I knew that now she was looking to move to a bigger firm. So because she's my best friend, I used to like going to see her. I wasn't working at the time. I would once in a while drive to Polokwane, go see my friend. I'd go pass by the law firm, greet the boss, and then leave. So the boss is getting to know me. They know that this is a Mang's friend. They come. So one time I went to see her. It was in Jan. Actually, I didn't go to see her. I ran away from home. I told my parents that I was going to fix my things because I needed to graduate.
Sure.
Mind you, I had not graduated. I was done. I had not graduated. So with the UNISA, the TURF thing, the University of Limpopo thing, there was a lot of admin that needed to go in before I graduated.
Yes.
So I told my parents that I was going to go get it fixed, but I lied because I knew that after getting it fixed, I was going to look for a job in Polokwane. At the time, I got a job offer articles in Venda. I was like, nah, I'm not
You're
doing
not going
this.
to Venda.
I'm not living in Venda. I'm not staying at a home. I'm not going to be some baby mama living in Venda. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So I get to my friend's boss's office the other day. I'm like, hey, how are you? How are you doing? Oh, how's it going? I'm like, can I have a job?
You just asked for it.
I'm like, can I? He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, can I have a job?
Sure.
And then he's like, I don't have anything for you. Your friend is still here. But I knew that my friend was planning on leaving. And she didn't have something, but I had faith that she's so good, she's going to get out of here.
Yeah.
Because she wants to leave.
Sure.
So I'm like, give me a job. And he's like, no, I can't. I'm like, okay. But I left, I went home, I woke up the next day, I wore formal and I went to the office. And I sat with my friend in her office and I did the work. And then I think 2 days later, he called me to the office and he's like, okay, so I don't have money. This is how much I can pay. I'm like, it's okay.
Sure. And how much was that?
I think it was 3,500 rands at the time. I called home and I said, I got a job.
Love that. You know, I always tell people that they really need to be creative, right? In trying to find jobs. And not to say walk into people's offices dressed in formal, read the room.
Please don't do that. Don't walk into Weber Wenzel. Don't go to Adam and Adams and go sit there. Please don't do that. I did that because I felt like I was getting familiar with this man. So I was
Yes.
getting familiar with this man because I kept going to the office to see my friend and I
Yes.
would greet him. Then I was like, know what? I'm gonna go work. But
Yes,
please
yes.
don't do it.
Yes, yes. You can do it, read the room. Like just check what's going on, then you'll be able to do certain things because I've realized that sometimes jobs don't come to you. You can create a job. I always believe that a position can be created for you, especially if you show some willingness that you want to learn, you have capacity. And when you think about it, the fact that you're okay with being paid 3.5, yes, it was a while ago because now, I mean, they still candidate attorneys getting paid 3.5. And for the fact that you were willing, you have a child, but you're still willing to say, I'll take this 3.5. It is what it is. So then after you get your articles and then now you start working, and then why did you end up seeding your articles? What went wrong or what went right?
I was like, nah. Polokwane is too small for me.
Okay.
Now I'm serving. I'm figuring things out. That one thing that I liked, the labor thing, it came in a few times. We didn't have a lot of labor cases, but when they did, I noticed how excited I was. When the conciliations came, when you'd had to do research, I noticed how excited I got.
Sure.
Then I was like, okay, what do we do with this labor thing? And at that point, I knew that actually one more thing that I don't like, apart from school, was going to court. So there's a buildup of things that I don't like.
Sure.
But where are the things that I liked, right? So now I'm starting to open myself to different things because I want to find out what I liked.
Sure.
I knew that I liked family law, but I also knew that I liked labor, but I didn't have much exposure to labor.
Sure.
So I decided to take a risk. I left. I seeded my articles, and fortunately, I landed in a law firm in Joburg that
okay.
specifically dealt with labor.
Okay, love that.
Then, yeah. Okay, let me let you ask.
Yes. And then how was the culture shock? Was it different from living Polokwane, now you're in a law firm in Joburg? How was that transition?
First of all, I was broke.
You were broke in the city of gold.
I was broke in the city of gold because my parents were like, you want to go to Joburg? And I remember moving here. I think the salary was just 6,000. It was still not a lot when I moved. This was in 2019 when I moved to Joburg. 6,000, 6.5, somewhere there. And then my dad, being supportive, he said, it's fine. I'll pay your rent.
Sure.
Then you'll figure yourself out. So I thought with 6.5 and my rent being paid, I can do it. And my mom was like, cool. My mom was also very supportive. She was one of those moms that when they come to visit you, they'll bring you like a bulk of groceries.
Yes, I was about to say.